my name is Warren Pohl. I'm one of the co-founders at 33 Shake, and welcome to another episode of the 33 Shake vlog. Today's video is all about hitting the wall, why it happens and how, rather than it being an accepted part of endurance sport, hitting the wall is in fact completely unnecessary and totally avoidable if you just follow the simple tips that we're going to outline in this video. Because at 33 Shake, our mission is delivering maximum value to endurance athletes, and we do it in these videos by sharing the very best in training and nutrition, mindset and motivation tips and tricks for your endurance performance. And we do it in store at 33shake.com with the very best in endurance sports nutrition. Now, with all that said, let's get on with the show. Why do we hit the wall? It's the spectre that awaits every first-time marathon runner. It's the ogre lurking in the background for anyone new to endurance sport. And if you've ever done plenty of endurance sport, you're going to have hit it before. You may have hit it so often that you assume it's just normal. It's actually not. And the impetus for all the stuff we're going to talk to here, it comes from a brilliant piece that was written on our 33 Shake blog by an excellent triathlete and coach called James Ecott. And the piece just deconstructed the idea, the concept of the wall, and laid out the strategy for avoiding it so well, we had to share it with you here. As he explains, hitting the wall has been considered a rite of passage for distance athletes for years. In reality, it's not necessary at all. Having coached many endurance athletes and completed multiple marathons, ultramarathons, and long-distance triathlons, he says, my knowledge here is from the real-world school of hard knocks. Pretty much the best place you're ever going to learn anything. In his experience, two factors result in hitting the wall. The first one is rather more obvious, the second one less so. So, in chronological order, number one, what's the big reason people hit the wall? Poor nutrition. James says nutrition quality and strategy is at the heart of whether you bonk or hit the wall or you don't. Humans have an incredible ability to power themselves over vast distances, James explains, assuming that they are physically conditioned. But often it's poor or incorrect nutritional choices or timing which result in that dreaded collapse after 2 or 3 hours of exercise. Over the past few decades, James explains the push for a high carbohydrate diet has seen athletes consuming more and more highly processed sugars and carbohydrates in a bid for increased performance. Trouble is, this often plays total havoc with people's stomachs and with their energy levels. These types of products can sustain you for so long, but the peaks and troughs, both physically and mentally, make the already difficult business of endurance sport even harder and greatly increase the reason that you're going to hit the wall. Because, as James explains, under a pure carbohydrate onslaught like this, eventually the body starts to shut down. We experience a lack of energy as our glycogen stores run dry. Now, the body can only store a certain amount of carbohydrate in the liver and the muscles. It's give or take enough for 90 minutes of exercise. Once that carbohydrate store is gone, bang, that's when we hit the wall. It's simply running out of gas. But here's an interesting question. If we store enough for give or take 90 minutes, why do people not uniformly run into the wall at around 90 minutes? The reason for this is the human body is really, really bloody clever. And it has two fuel sources, carbohydrate and fat. Now, where the carbohydrate stores last, give or take 90 minutes, the fat stores will power a human body, even a super lean, Tour de France skinny type human body, for hours and hours running into days. Both fuel sources are used during exercise, but while fat is being burned, the carbohydrate stores are being conserved. This is why people could be hitting the wall anywhere from 90 minutes if they were only burning carbohydrate, right the way through to several hours if they were burning a mix. And this is where we start to unlock the key of being able to potentially remove the risk of that wall altogether. Because as James explains, he says even the lightest athlete has tens of thousands of calories, potential fuel, stored up in fat. And when he's fat adapted, when an athlete is fat adapted, this can be used for fuel, and the more you're able to use that fat, the less you're going to use that carbohydrate. Now, this is the magic moment, because if you are using more fat to fuel you, your body's own stored fat, if you're using more of that, then you're not using the carbohydrate so often, which means that that 90 minutes worth of carbohydrate is being used more slowly, it's being used more gradually, which gives you much more time to A, realise that it's time to replenish it, and B, actually digest that replenishment and maintain the carb store that you need while maintaining the stable pace. Now, we don't have space in this video to go into fat adaptation, but we have covered that in separate videos and blog posts, and you'll find the links for those in the show notes below. But the basic deal is by working on slow training and fasted training, you can train your body to better utilize the fat stores, and at lower intensities, you're going to be burning more fat, but and at higher intensities, you're going to be burning more carbohydrate. But what you can do is increase that threshold below which you're still burning fat. And that leads you to the aforementioned magic moment, where the fat is doing a lot of the heavy lifting and the carb store is much easier to manage, so much so to the point you push the wall that far in front of you, you're never going to hit it. So, what comes next? As another part of that, learning to fuel to hunger, not to schedule, is another useful trick. There's a link to a blog post that we've got all about that if you're interested in the show notes as well. But James's second point, absolutely love this one because it's really easily overlooked by a lot of endurance athletes. Why we hit the wall, reason number 2, it is a lack of muscular strength and endurance. As he puts it, the second half of the bonking hitting the wall equation is being physically trained to cover long distances. Too many athletes, in his experience, focus too much on their cardio, when in reality, this is rarely their limit over long distances. And I absolutely love how he puts this. He says, as an example, how many people do you see them truly stretching their heart and lungs to the absolute point of collapse during a marathon, for example, or an ultra marathon? It's very few. They're generally breathing quite steadily, still able to talk. That kind of absolute flat out exertion where it's almost a pace per breath, and you can't talk or anything, and the lights are pretty much going out in your head because your heart and lungs are being used so hard. That's a very rare thing in endurance sports. So, yeah, endurance athletes, we tend to defer to spending most of our time training that cardio system. James says for 90% of athletes at all levels, the hitting the wall experience comes as much from a lack of strength and muscular endurance as it does from getting nutrition wrong. Because beyond a core base of cardio fitness, endurance sport is much more an exercise in strength than it is in cardio. And this is fascinating because most people do not look at endurance sports this way. It's such a great take. As an example, James says, even when you're running at a relatively slow pace, muscles are taking a pounding and are being torn to shreds. So the stronger you are, by creating strength through hill reps, body weight circuits, plyometrics, gym work, eccentric load training, whatever it is, the more strength you can get into that core, into those legs, the better you're going to run as your legs are going to tire. That's going to hold your form together more. It's going to make you a better athlete. So all of this sort of training, lifting heavy stuff in the gym basically, may go against the grain for any serious endurance athlete. But frankly, it is one of the best ways of removing the wall as a risk to something that could hamper your progress. Because the stronger your body is, the less stress it's having to deal with, the faster and happier it's going to be able to go. You combine that with great nutrition, you can kiss goodbye to the wall forever. So look, hope that's super helpful. Hope you really enjoyed it. Please do leave us your thoughts and comments. And any of your favourite tips and tricks for, whether it's hitting, experiences you've learned from hitting the wall or ways you avoid it. Please do share that, get in touch. You'll find all of our email and social media contact details in the show notes below. And if you are looking for the very best in endurance nutrition for your cycling, your running, your triathlon, or your swimming performance, why not check us out? You'll find us at 33shake.com.